In the heart of the vast African savanna, where golden grasses swayed like a gentle ocean and acacia trees dotted the landscape, lived an elephant named Amara. She wasn't just any elephant. She was known throughout the land for her immense size, her gentle eyes, and a wisdom that seemed as old as the mountains themselves. Amara had seen many seasons come and go. She had watched young giraffes grow tall enough to reach the highest leaves and seen lion cubs mature into mighty hunters. Her memory was a vast library of savanna life, filled with stories of joy, sorrow, and everything in between. Amara spent her days in peaceful contemplation, often near a grove of baobab trees where the sweetest fruits grew. She would carefully gather these fruits, her trunk moving with a practiced grace that defied her massive size. Her fruit basket, woven from strong reeds, was always full, a testament to her patience and hard work. She shared her bounty generously, offering a sweet marula fruit to a passing monkey or a juicy baobab pod to a young antelope. The other animals respected her deeply, not just for her strength, but for the quiet calm that always surrounded her. One bright, sunny afternoon, as Amara was arranging her freshly picked fruits, a young zebra named Zeki came galloping by. Zeki was full of boundless energy, his black and white stripes a blur of motion against the green and gold of the savanna. He was known for his playful, sometimes thoughtless, antics. He loved to race the wind, chase butterflies, and play pranks on his friends. Life, for Zeki, was one big, exciting game, and he rarely stopped to consider the consequences of his actions. In his boisterous play, Zeki was zigzagging wildly, pretending to dodge a lurking lion. He wasn't looking where he was going. With a loud, clumsy thud, he crashed directly into Amara's carefully stacked fruit basket. The basket tipped over, and the colorful fruits, deep red marulas, golden mangoes, and brown baobab pods scattered everywhere, rolling into the dusty grass and getting bruised and dirty. For a moment, there was silence. Zeki froze, his eyes wide with shock. He saw the scattered fruit, and Amara standing perfectly still beside the overturned basket. A wave of panic washed over him. He knew he had done something wrong, but the thought of facing the giant elephant and admitting his mistake was terrifying. Instead of staying to apologize, his instincts took over. He spun around and galloped away as fast as his legs could carry him, his heart pounding in his chest, leaving Amara alone with the mess. She saw the fear in his eyes and the haste in his retreat. A younger, less wise elephant might have trumpeted in anger or chased after the careless zebra. But Amara did neither. She simply stood there, a great gray mountain of tranquility. She looked at the ruined fruits, a day's hard work undone in a single thoughtless moment. A flicker of sadness passed through her, but it was quickly replaced by a deep sense of understanding. She knew Zeki was young and impulsive. She knew fear had driven him away, not malice. With a slow, deliberate movement, she began to pick up the few fruits that were still edible. She let out a soft, low rumble, not of anger, but of acceptance. Holding on to anger, she knew, was like holding on to a hot coal with the intent of throwing it at someone else. You are the one who gets burned. She understood that forgiveness wasn't about excusing the other's behavior, but about freeing her own heart from the weight of resentment. So she let it go, as easily as releasing a breath. The savanna wind whispered through the trees, and Amara continued her day in peace. A few weeks passed. The dry season had settled over the savanna, turning the lush grasses to a crisp, pale yellow. The air grew hot and thick with dust. One afternoon, a storm gathered on the horizon, but it was a storm without rain. Jagged forks of lightning tore through the sky, and one bolt struck a dry old baobab tree at the edge of the plains. In an instant, the tree burst into flames. Fanned by the strong, hot wind, the fire began to spread with terrifying speed. A wall of orange and red raced across the savanna, consuming everything in its path. Panic erupted. The air filled with the sounds of frightened cries and the thunder of countless hooves. Animals fled in a chaotic stampede, their only thought to escape the roaring monster of fire that was devouring their home. Giraffes galloped, their long necks bobbing, gazelles leaped in desperate bounds, and birds took to the sky, their calls sharp with alarm. The smoke grew thick and black, stinging their eyes and choking their lungs. In the midst of this chaos, young Zeki found himself separated from his herd. Blinded by the smoke and terrified by the deafening roar of the flames, he ran in a frenzy, not knowing which way led to safety. In his panicked flight, he stumbled into a ravine, his leg catching in a tangle of thick, fallen branches from a fire-weakened tree. He twisted and struggled, but the more he pulled, the tighter the branches seemed to hold him. The fire was getting closer. He could feel its intense heat on his striped coat and hear the crackle of burning wood all around him. He was trapped. Despair washed over him. He cried out for help, his voice hoarse and shaky, but his calls were lost in the roar of the wildfire. "Help me, please, someone help me!" He neighed, his body trembling with fear. He thought of his family, of the green grass he loved to eat, and of the silly games he used to play. Tears streamed from his smoke-filled eyes. He was sure this was the end. Just as he was about to give up hope, a colossal shadow fell over him. Through the thick, swirling smoke, he saw a familiar, massive figure. It was Amara. While other animals had fled in sheer terror, Amara was moving with a calm, focused purpose. Her wisdom told her that panic was a greater danger than the fire itself. She was using her knowledge of the land to guide smaller, lost animals toward the river, a natural firebreak that offered safety. She had heard Zeki's desperate cries and, without a moment's hesitation, had turned toward the sound, toward the heart of the danger. She approached the trapped and terrified zebra. Zeki looked up at her, his eyes wide with a mixture of hope and shame. He remembered his careless mistake with her fruit basket and how he had run away like a coward. He expected her to be angry, to leave him to his fate as a just punishment. But there was no anger in Amara's eyes. There was only compassion. Amara carefully assessed the situation. The branches were heavy and tangled. With her powerful trunk, she began to pull and push at the branches, snapping them one by one. The heat from the approaching flames was intense, and burning embers rained down around them, singeing her thick hide. The smoke was suffocating, but Amara did not falter. She worked with a steady, determined strength, her entire being focused on the single task of freeing the young zebra. Finally, with one last mighty heave, she ripped away the largest branch, and Zeki was free. He scrambled to his feet, his legs sore but unbroken. He looked at Amara, who stood panting, her skin covered in soot, her eyes weary but kind. The full weight of what had just happened crashed down on Zeki. This elephant, whom he had wronged and never apologized to, had just risked her own life to save his. Shame and gratitude washed over him in a powerful wave. He walked to her side and nuzzled his head against her massive leg. "Amara," he whispered, his voice trembling, "I'm so sorry. I'm sorry for knocking over your fruit, and I'm sorry for running away. I was foolish and scared. And you saved me. Why? After what I did, why would you help me?" Amara looked down at the small striped creature beside her. She gently touched the top of his head with the tip of her trunk, a gesture of profound tenderness. "Little one," she rumbled softly, her voice a comforting balm. "Holding on to anger only harms the one who holds it. Forgiveness is not for you. It is for me. It is the path to peace." Today there was no past. There was only a life that needed saving. Seki's eyes filled with tears again, but this time they were not tears of fear. They were tears of understanding. In that moment, he learned a lesson far more important than any game he had ever played. He learned about courage, about compassion, and about the incredible power of forgiveness. He understood that true strength wasn't about being the fastest or the most playful. True strength was in the heart. It was the strength to forgive, the strength to help others, and the strength to be kind, even when it's difficult. Together, they made their way through the smoldering landscape toward the safety of the river, the giant elephant and the young zebra walking side by side. The fire had destroyed much of their home, but from the ashes, something new and beautiful had been born. A bond of friendship, and a lesson that would echo through the savannah for generations. The story of Amara and Zeki became a legend, a reminder to all that forgiveness is a gift you give yourself, and that a single act of grace can change a heart forever. Thank you so much for watching. If this story touched your heart, please give this video a like and subscribe to our channel for more powerful stories. We'll see you in the next one.